All right, we're back with an update on not one, but two of former President Donald Trump's legal battles.
The day started in New York, where the judge overseeing Trump's criminal hush money case ruled the trial will begin on March 25th as scheduled. Trump had hoped to have the whole case thrown out. In Georgia, the criminal case involving Trump's efforts to overturn the election was discussed, but it was the DA and prosecutor who were in the hot seat. Team Trump is hoping to have Fulton County DA Fani Willis and Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade removed from the case because of a romantic relationship between them.
ABC 10 Boston political commentator and my At Issue co-host Sue O'Connell has been providing me personal feedback of this case because we sit next to each other. But we're going to talk about both of these cases. I want to start in New York. Trump says the decision to hold his hush money trial at the end of March, right in the middle of primary season, is election interference. Is it possible for any legal system to process a man facing 91 criminal indictments without interfering in the campaign happening in the same year?
Nope, it is not, Corey. But to be clear, Donald Trump does not have to run for president. And often when scheduling a trial, the judge will make allowances for the participants due to their personal situation or things they can't control, like an illness or other cases that the lawyers may be involved in. But running for president of the United States is a choice, and the court is under no requirement to make an allowance for that. And remember, these charges were brought almost a year ago, and prosecutor Matthew Calaggio noted that Trump's attorney Todd Blanche said that the March 25th date would, quote, minimize disruption to his client because there were only a few primaries at that time. So in this case, Trump is facing 34 felony charges, of course, centering on the allegations that he falsified business records to cover up that hush money payment to Stormy Daniels during the 2016 presidential election. Now, Trump's team, they argued that prosecution was politically motivated, but Justice Juan Merchan said that and other arguments strain credulity. And that means that Trump is going to spend weeks in court instead of on the campaign trail.
All right, let's go to Georgia now. You had Fulton County DA Fani Willis and prosecutor Nathan Wade, who is prosecuting the Trump Georgia election case. They were romantically involved and were not necessarily open about it. But they're both consenting adults. So how will Trump's legal team use this relationship to get them removed from the case? And does that ultimately stop it moving forward or just delay it?
Yeah, we've been watching this all day, Corey, and I'm not really sure what Trump's legal team is trying to do. But, you know, the truth is they don't really have to do anything right now because it's going to end up being in the lap of Judge Scott McAfee to determine if Fani Willis has a conflict of interest due to her romantic relationship with the prosecutor that she hired to manage that case. Now, if the judge decides that this is a conflict and the conflict merits disqualification, it basically means that her entire office is going to be disqualified, and that means the entire case is going to be in limbo. So if Judge Scott McAfee determines that Willis has had the conflict of interest, then we're just going to have to go right back to the beginning there and figure out what happens. One of the things that could happen next is the case would be reassigned to another Georgia prosecutor, and that prosecutor would have to figure out if they're going to continue with the case the way it is or if they should just drop the case entirely. And if they drop the case entirely, that ends the prosecution of Trump and his allies over their actions to try and overturn the Georgia election in 2020. Okay, so if Willis is not disqualified, I kind of guess that the Trump team is going to work to discredit her, maybe find new allegations because they're digging around during this hearing today. But it ain't over yet, Corey, no matter what happens.
No, it's certainly been fascinating to watch and to have you there from the Peanut Gallery offering your take. Sue, thank you as always. We appreciate it.